times more memory than you can imagine. For example, Michelle, do you remember your great-great-great-great-grandmother, how she looked? No. You don't remember how your great-great-great-great-grandmother looked, but her nose is sitting on your face right now because your body remembers. Your body remembers how your forefathers were 1,000,000 years ago. It is not forgotten. You might have forgotten, but your body remembers. There's a phenomenal amount of memory in every cell in this body. And similarly, the more evolved a particular creature is, the more complex it has become, the more difficult it is for the system to absorb and make it a part of itself. So suppose you eat an animal which has emotions. The moment you consume an animal with emotions, the complexity of information in that animal is such that it will not integrate easily into our system. If you eat an animal which does not have so much thought and emotion, its ability to retain its own structure is very minimal and it integrates itself into our body as a part of ourselves very easily. So when we consume something, this is the fundamental criteria, that we want to eat something which is a simple life. Without consuming some life, you cannot exist here. Whether it's a plant, vegetable, fruit, animal, everything is life. Now the idea is to consume a simpler life which has less capability of thought and emotion. The more capability it has, your ability to integrate that will become less, or in other words, the nature of that animal will start manifesting within ourselves in some ways. It is not that if you eat a camel, you will become a camel tomorrow morning. But over a period of time, a little camelistic trends can come. So, unless when somebody is extraordinarily physically active, they are able to manage this to some extent. As physical activity comes down, how consciously you eat makes a world of difference. A human being need not be serviced for 8 hours a day. If only if he or she eats properly, the kind of food substance which easily integrates into the system, the kind of food substance that will not create inertia, but it will create dynamism, the kind of food substance which will not need to stay in the body for long periods of time, something that passes through the system quickly. Carnivorous animals have a short alimentary canal because meat passes through the system slowly. Herbivores have a long alimentary canal because vegetable matter passes through the system very quickly. And we have a long alimentary canal, and the purpose of a long alimentary canal is a more complex process is possible. When a more complex process is possible, what it means is the quality and the nature of the food in some way impacts us in character, in the way we are, in the way we think, emote and behave within ourselves and around us. So how consciously we consume food and how conscious we are as to how food behaves within us. If you're conscious enough, if something appears in front of you, you will simply know whether to eat it or not eat it. If that kind of awareness is not there, one has to have function by information as to different foods, how they behave and they do not behave. I was speaking to a medical group in United States, and I told them, the way America is eating right now, if you change the way you're eating, you can bring down 60% of the incidence of cancer in this country, simply if you change the way you're eating. Because you're eating food which is on an average about 45 days old. In the yogic culture, if anything is cooked, within 1.5 hours you must consume it. From the stove, straight to the plate, always. I'm sure in this culture also it was like that till recently. So, as you keep the food and it starts deteriorating. If you eat deteriorating food and then you're wondering why your own body cells are working against you, that cannot be helped. We are spending billions of dollars in research for the ailments that we have created. We need to understand this. Every human cell, every cell in this body is essentially programmed for health. But right now, 70% of the ailments on the planet are chronic, or in other words, they're self-created. There are infectious diseases which are an invasion from another organism that has to be dealt with medicine. All the chronic ailments, whatever it is manufactured from within. Why would our own body manufacture ailment for us? Simply because without understanding the fundamentals of how it functions, and one important part of it is what we consume and how we consume. If we change this one aspect as to what we're consuming and how we consume it, health could be a natural process for most people. I would say 60 to 70% of the population will never get into health if only there's a little more conscious way of eating on this planet. If you have questions, please. Please.
Hello. Thank you for a very inspirational speech. I have two problems, chocolate and cigarettes. And I know I need to stop them, but what is your advice for me to have more self-control? Thank you.
A cigarette is not a foodstuff, so I will leave it alone. About chocolates, it happened one day on the Florida beach. A man was walking and he found a lamp, a kind of a lantern which was sticking out of the sand. He took it out and just to check what it is, took his shirt and just wiped it, and lo, a genie arrived. You heard the story before. So the genie said, 3 gifts, whatever you want, 3 boons I will give you, what do you want? He said, wow, I want a red Ferrari. Right there on the beach, a red Ferrari arrived. Then he said, wow, this is for real. I want $1 million, $1 million in the back seat. Then he said, what is the third one? He thought about it and said, I want to be irresistible to women. He turned into a box of chocolates. So, when it's something so precious in a women's conference, I won't put chocolate. Chocolate is a very positive thing. The problem with chocolate is you're eating with sugar, okay? If you just eat chocolate, it's a very wonderful thing to eat. But you're mixing with such enormous amount of sugar, which will definitely cause damage to the system. If you can eat it without the sugar, that'll be great. And similarly for the cigarette, without the tobacco, if you smoke it, it would be great. I'm sorry? That's why I said chocolate is great, it's the sugar which is the problem. That's up to you. See, we have gotten used to like a cigarette or coffee or whatever, these are nervous stimulants. If you consume a nervous stimulant, it'll pep you up for a certain amount of time and then dump you. So you consume, let's say next 2 years you consume coffee every day in the morning. One day if there is no coffee, you will freak, you will get headache, you will get all kinds of problems because you are used to the nervous stimulant now. If you use any kind of stimulant or intoxicant upon your nervous system, your ability to perceive will go down. When I say your ability to perceive, see, if I stand here with my eyes closed, if somebody enters this hall, with my eyes closed, I will tell you what kind of person has entered this hall. Oh, is this some yoga? No, even your dog can do it, isn't it? Yes or no? Your dog is sitting under the sofa, somebody at the door, he knows who has come, yes or no? Does he know or not? He knows. Now, when a dog can know, why is it that you cannot know? Simply because we have dulled our nervous system in so many different ways. First of all, living in urban centers, our nervous system is dulled by excessive input. The type of food that we eat, stimulants, intoxicants, all these things. If you dull your nervous system, the statement that you're making to life is, I want to dodge life, I want to avoid life, I don't want to experience life. So if that is the thing, if we cut a nerve in your spine, you will not experience anything. Shall we do that? You're trying to do it slowly, I'm talking about doing it more efficiently. Is that what you want to do to yourself? Because only if your nervous system is at its highest level of relaxation and alertness, only then you will know life in its entirety. Otherwise, simply what somebody has told you and taught you, that's all you will know. You will not perceive life the way it is. So, whether you're consuming coffee, cigarette, this, that, if by choice somewhere you're doing something, that's up to you, I don't want to get into those aspects of your life. But if it's compulsively happening in your life, it's time you do something. Things that we created should not rule our lives, isn't it? If you're doing everything by choice, consciously, it's up to you. If they are compelling you to do certain things, it's time you worked on it, it's time you did something about it. Please. Oh, it works only if you speak.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hello.
But if sometimes we cannot waive stress, and that's why we are consuming more caffeine, more sugar, whatever, it's chocolate or more carbohydrates. So if there are any other equivalents that we can use under stress? I mean food equivalents.
So we are addressing this as if stress is a part of your life. This happened to me a few years ago. When I first went to United States, wherever I went, people were talking about stress management. I couldn't understand this. Why are people talking about stress management? My understanding, we manage things which are precious to us, our family, our wealth, our business and whatever else, whatever is precious to us. Why would anybody want to manage stress? It took me a while to understand these people have made a conclusion that stress is a part of their life. Stress is not a part of your life. You must understand this. You're stressful not because you have children, you're stressful not because you have a business to run, you're stressful not because life is not going the way you think it should be going. You're stressful simply because you do not know how to handle yourself. Your own body, your own mind, your own emotion and your own energies are in conflict with each other. They're in a state of friction. If this was well lubricated, there definitely would not be any stress. If this system was going very smoothly within yourself, there would not be any stress. Essentially means friction, isn't it? However wonderful a machine that you may be driving in terms of your car, if you drive it without the engine lubricants or engine oil, it won't last for 10 minutes. The same thing goes for this. If the necessary lubrication is not created, if the necessary alignment is not happened within you, then everything seems stressful. Have you at least noticed this much? What one person thinks is very stressful, another person is dealing with it effortlessly? Yes or no? So it is not a situation which is stressful, it is your inability to manage yourself. When you are given such a sophisticated machine, what I am asking you is, did you ever read the user's manual? No? Did you ever pay attention as to how this functions? Now we just did one simple experiment, this and this. Every day you're doing it, but you think you don't have to pay attention to this. There is a system, there is a whole science as to how to bring attention to every aspect of your life. The very way you sit, stand, breathe, eat, every aspect of your life, if you handle it consciously, you will see it will become something else. There is a whole science. As there is a science and technology to handle the external, there is a whole science and technology to handle the internal. You have to invest certain amount of time in that.
We are at a
Which speaking,
business.
please?
We are here. I'm here.
Oh.
We are at a business women conference. Can you give me in three practical steps how we can manage to be vegetarian, to do yoga, and to manage all the problems that we have around us in this world in three steps?
1, 2, 3.
Practical.
Okay. Practical. If you just had a hammer and an anvil, which is the most basic tool, 1, 2, 3, I could teach you in 3 steps. But you have a very complex, sophisticated machine which is capable of incredible things. When you have such a machine, I would say, let's pay a little more attention to it, if we want a good yield out of it. If it was a very simplistic thing, we could have done it in a very simplistic way. But anyway, right now we have only time for 3 steps. One thing you could do is, we could have offered it to you right here, otherwise this is offered free to millions and millions of people across the world. It's a simple process of meditation, which takes 12 minutes. You can go on the net and with a guided voice you can practice this. It is a technology for well-being. It is not a philosophy, it is not an ideology, it is not a religion, it is not a belief system, it's just a technology for inner well-being. 12 minutes you invest on this. In your diet, make 40% of your diet into fruit and vegetable which is fresh and alive, live cells, not dead ones. Bring 40% into your daily life, whichever way it's convenient for you. It is best if it's brought as one single meal, as dinner or something. But if that's not possible, just add it somehow, whichever way. But if it comes as a separate meal, it's most effective. And simple yoga cannot be taught like this because the simplest of yoga involves phenomenal amount of geometry. Today, yoga is being taught as a fitness mechanism, like they teach aerobics, they're teaching yoga. We would not want to teach something like that because something very profound, if it's taught in a very simplistic way, you will lose the possibility. Suppose I give you an airplane, you're given an airplane and you don't know what it is, I come and say you chop off these 2 wings which will anyway obstruct things and drive it like a car, you may like it, but it's a disaster to drive an airplane with chopped off wings. So, the 3rd step would be that you invest 2 or 3 days to learn something very simple. Don't go for big things, something very, very simple. 2 or 3 days you invest to learn something and bring it into your life, it will do a phenomenal change in your life, these 3 things, 3 steps.
Good morning.
And anyway, to tell you, I'm not a businesswoman, but I'm running more than half a dozen businesses and foundations and activity and movements and projects across the world. So I'm not somebody who sits in a cave and meditates all the time, okay?